I never thought greed could come from within my own family, but I learned the hard way. When my sister, Elaine, started showing up at my house more often, I assumed she just wanted to spend time with me. After all, we weren't getting any younger, and family was supposed to stick together. But the little things didn't add up. She asked about my bank accounts, hinted about the value of my house, and kept pressing me about the inheritance our parents left behind. At first, I brushed it off as harmless curiosity, but deep down, a knot of suspicion started to form. One night, I overheard her on the phone in my kitchen, whispering about how she was going to secure her future no matter what. That was the moment I realized she wasn't just visiting me, she was plotting. She thought I was too old, too naive, too trusting, to notice, but I wasn't. I stayed quiet, my heart pounding, because I knew I had to play this carefully. If she thought I was blind, then I had the perfect chance to show her just how wrong she was. The betrayal became clearer with every passing day. Elaine wasn't just snooping, she was weaving a web to make me look weak and incapable. She started telling neighbors I was forgetful, hinting that I couldn't manage my own finances anymore. She even suggested to my own children that maybe I should hand over control of the inheritance before I did something foolish. Hearing my kids repeat her words cut me deeper than I can explain, because it meant she was planting doubts right inside my own home. At night, I would sit at my kitchen table, staring at the old papers and documents my parents had left me, fighting back tears of anger. It wasn't just about money, it was about respect, about dignity. Elaine saw me as an obstacle in her path to wealth, and she thought she could bulldoze right over me. Every fake smile she flashed, every concerned tone she used, it was all part of the act, and I realized if I didn't act soon, she'd convince everyone else that I wasn't fit to protect what was rightfully mine. I decided if Elaine wanted to play games, I'd play smarter. I contacted my lawyer quietly and updated my will, making sure every word was airtight. Not only did I secure the inheritance, but I also added a clause that would cut out anyone who tried to manipulate or coerce me. Then, I started my own act. I pretended to be a little confused here and there, letting her think her plan was working. I'd ask her to remind me of things, or pretend I misplaced papers, all while recording her conversations with me. Sure enough, she slipped. She told me one day, with a smile too wide to be genuine, that once I was gone, things would finally be easier. That was the nail in the coffin. I compiled every recording, every document, every note, and handed them to my lawyer. Elaine thought she was moving me out of the way, but she didn't realize I was setting the trap tighter around her. She thought she had me fooled. Truth was, I had been 2 steps ahead the entire time. Elaine's arrogance grew once she thought she had me cornered. She started talking openly about how the inheritance would finally be in the right hands. At family dinners, she dropped little hints about how she'd manage things better once I wasn't around. My kids started giving me strange looks, like they weren't sure if she was joking or serious. That's when I set the final stage of my plan. I invited her over one afternoon for tea, acting fragile, letting her think she could push harder. While we sipped, I brought up the inheritance, pretending to sound worried. Her eyes lit up instantly. She leaned in, lowering her voice, and told me I should just sign over power of attorney to her, to make things easier. I asked her to repeat it, acting confused, and this time I had my phone recording every word. She laughed, patted my hand and said, "Don't worry, sis. I'll take care of everything once it's mine." She had no idea she'd just sealed her own fate. I didn't act right away. No, I let her dig her own grave deeper. Over the next week, Elaine called me repeatedly, pushing harder, reminding me about those papers she wanted me to sign. Every call, I let go to voicemail. Every voicemail, I saved. When I finally felt ready, I invited her back over, this time with my lawyer just happening to stop by. I played dumb, asked her again to explain why she needed full control of my accounts. Right there, in front of him, she repeated her pitch like she was doing me a favor. I'll never forget the look on her face when I calmly pressed play on my phone, and every manipulative word of hers filled the room. Her face went pale, and she stammered something about misunderstanding. My lawyer leaned back, arms crossed, and said, "That doesn't sound like a misunderstanding to me." For the first time, Elaine realized she wasn't the predator anymore, she was the prey. Elaine didn't back down easily. The very next day, she started spinning her own version of the story to the rest of the family, telling cousins and distant relatives that I was unstable, that I was being controlled by some greedy lawyer, and that I was turning against my own blood. She thought if she poisoned the well first, I'd look like the liar. But what she didn't know was that I had already shared the voicemails with a few trusted relatives. When her little smear campaign reached them, they called her bluff instantly. Word spread fast, and suddenly she wasn't the loving daughter looking out for family, she was the manipulator caught red-handed. I stayed quiet on the outside, but on the inside, I was smiling. Every desperate move she made only pulled the mask further off her face. For once, Elaine wasn't in control of the narrative. I was. The real hammer dropped when I invited Elaine to what she thought was a family meeting at my lawyer's office. She walked in, smug as ever, carrying a folder stuffed with papers, probably another scheme to get her hands on my house or my savings. What she didn't expect was to find the lawyer, to other relatives, and a recorder already running on the table. Calmly, I asked her to explain why she had been pressuring me to sign over my assets. She tried to play dumb at first, but then the lawyer slid the transcripts of her voicemails across the desk. The look on her face when she realized her own words were documented was priceless, her confidence shattered in seconds. I didn't raise my voice, I didn't argue. I just let the evidence do the talking. For the first time in her life, Elaine had no exit strategy. She was trapped. Elaine tried to recover, sputtering excuses about misunderstandings and concern for my well-being. But nobody was buying it anymore. The lawyer leaned forward and calmly explained that what she had attempted was financial coercion, bordering on fraud, and that, if I wanted, we could press charges. The color drained from her face. She knew she wasn't just losing her shot at my inheritance, she was staring down the possibility of legal trouble and public shame. To make matters worse for her, the relatives, present ones she had once charmed and manipulated, were now glaring at her like they were seeing her true self for the first time. Elaine had spent years crafting this image of being the dutiful, caring daughter, but in one afternoon, it crumbled. My revenge wasn't loud or violent, it was surgical, exposing her in front of everyone she wanted to impress. In the end, Elaine walked out of that office a shadow of the person who had strutted in. She lost the respect of the family, her schemes exposed for everyone to see. I made it crystal clear that my estate was locked up tight, with protections in place so she could never touch a penny of it. And though I could have pursued legal action, I didn't need to. The humiliation and fallout were punishment enough. Word spread through the family tree like wildfire, and suddenly, Elaine was the one everyone avoided at reunions. For me, the sweetest revenge wasn't just keeping what was rightfully mine. It was reclaiming my dignity and showing her that I wasn't the helpless pawn she thought I was. She wanted my inheritance, but all she got was a front row seat to her own downfall. And let me tell you, that was worth more than any dollar in the bank.